So you can cut and say, you're way off track, girl. Let's start over. If you think I've blown it, and just tell me to wing it around, and I will.
We won't do that. We want to be natural.
It's the handbrake sound.
Yeah. No. Okay, perfect. Sometimes Willie does use little snippets from the start, but very sneakily.
That's okay too. I'm
just
good.
a little intro bit, you know. Just
For the little intros.
I might actually use this bit now.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's all good. If you can find the parts of it that you really love, just work on that. And that's going to make you happier, and it's going to come out better in your music. And you'll be able to kind of harness all that passion. Doesn't mean don't dabble, but don't feel like you need to keep up and have everything.
Welcome to the How to Harp podcast, where your harp and your journey are always front and centre. I'm Heather Downey, harpist and founder of How to Harp, your online space for expert guidance and endless inspiration. Each week, we are here to empower, inspire, and encourage you, whether you're just beginning or many years into your harp adventure. From chats with world-class professionals to real stories from everyday harpists to practical tips you can use right away. This podcast is all about helping you feel happy, confident, and fulfilled with your harp. This is episode 41 of the How to Harp podcast, and today I'm chatting to learner harpist Kim Woods. Now, Kim is not only a hugely passionate adult learner harpist, but over the last few years she's also become a very dear friend. We've been lucky enough to spend time together both in Scotland and over in Vermont with Kim and her husband Dennis, who welcomed us so warmly into their home with the most unbelievably generous welcome basket, amazing food, and so much kindness and hospitality. We've also shared lots of lovely harp memories together at events like the Camac Harp Weekend in Cardiff. Now, in this episode, Kim shares how she discovered the harp later in life after retiring, and how what started as a way to keep her brain active quickly turned into a huge passion that completely changed her life. We talk about learning the harp as an adult, building confidence through online learning, retreats and workshops, overcoming performance anxiety, and the amazing friendships and community that music can bring. We also chat about experimenting with electric harp and loop pedals, discovering her own musical voice, and learning to stop comparing herself to other harpists and instead focus on the kind of musician she truly wants to become. This is such a warm, honest, and inspiring conversation about saying yes to opportunities, embracing creativity later in life, and finding the courage to fully dive into something you love. Here we go. Hello, Kim. So nice to see you today. How are you doing?
I'm well, thanks. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm really excited about having you, and you're hot off the Maple Festival, aren't you?
Yes, indeed. A little sweetness from the northeast of the US.
Amazing. I always love it when you come here to Britain, because that's when I get my proper maple syrup fix, because Kim brings some for me. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We're kind of out, actually. Maybe need to make another trip soon.
Oh, that was fast.
I use it a lot.
Yeah, Willie does. Willie steals it. Like, who's it for, Kim? Is it for me or Willie?
I'm not going to jump into the middle of that. Y'all can figure that out. I bring it
the maple fight
for your household. You can figure it out from there.
Diplomat.
I know. You diplomat, yeah. Okay, anyway, as much as I do love talking about maple syrup, this is the How to Harp podcast. We are going to talk about harping together, aren't we?
Well, yes, we are.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we like to take everybody right back to the start of their journeys, Kim. So please, can you tell us how you first got into harping?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I don't even know if I was aware of the harp when I was younger and growing up. So I don't have one of those stories of always wanting to have played. Um, I had a little musical background. I took 7 years of organ lessons when I was a child from a teacher who taught me how to read treble clef and taught by lead sheets. So I didn't come out of there knowing very much at all. I was kind of music adjacent as I tried to teach myself to play the flute. But once I got beyond Mary Had a Little Lamb and Twinkle Twinkle, I felt like I would pass out because I didn't know how to do the breathing. When my son was learning cello and saxophone, I tried a little bit with him, but nothing really took. So I just felt like I loved music. I loved singing, but it wasn't something that was an instrument wasn't part of my daily life. And then I had the great opportunity to be able to retire at a relatively younger age than I had anticipated. But I had the misfortune of both my mom and her mom having died of Alzheimer's. And so I made a plan to do something to keep my brain active, get out and exercise, stay social, learn a language, learn an instrument. And so I had to sit down and figure out what will I learn to play. And I started just kind of Googling learning instruments as an adult. And I saw the harp and I thought, oh, I wonder if I could actually do that. And found some online videos, YouTube videos of being able to do it. And I thought, a terrible note on a harp is going to be much better than even a possibly close to good note on a violin or something like that. And so we have a violin shop in town where we had rented my son's cello. And I went down there to see if they knew where I could get a harp, and they had harps. And then I found my harp, and I then fell way in. Like, it became more than just a way to keep my brain active. It became really a passion. So that was it.
Amazing. Amazing. And it is such a we're going to get into how much of a passion it is as this conversation continues, I'm sure, because it is really a passion. But how long have you actually been playing now?
Yeah, I just passed my 5-year anniversary of getting my harp. Well, I got it a little bit before. I got it at the end of March in 2021, but I got it home and broke 2 strings right away. And I was afraid to play it because I didn't know anything about it. So I had it sit here for a little bit. So April was really when I started of 2021. So yeah, 5 years now.
Amazing. And I think a lot of people will really relate to that, the strings being broken and feeling kind of scared of it, right? You see it a lot. Yeah. So how did you actually get over that? Did you find someone to fix it for you, or?
Well, they were great at the store. They said sometimes they will break as they're settling in on a new harp. And so to let them know, and I did that, but they didn't stock strings. So I just waited until the strings came in. And then, I pulled up a Sylvia Woods video on how to change a harp string and tie a knot and got my strings in. And then I got started doing some of the online Facebook group chat things with people and, just listen to what other people were saying about how fast their strings were breaking. What did they do about it? And I felt like, yeah, I'm kind of in the middle of all of that. Like, I wasn't the worst. I hadn't broken the most. I hadn't broken the least. So I figured it was probably okay. And I just managed on my own for that time.
Amazing. Yeah, well done you. So you got this harp from the shop, you fixed your strings, and you're ready to go. So you mentioned there that you watched a few YouTube videos, but that won't have been what got you to this point, right? So how did you really get into learning the harp?
Mm-hmm. So I was in a very big popular Facebook group, and I'd been playing for 2 weeks, and they were all saying, hey, is anybody doing Deborah's Baroque Flamenco challenge, her 5-day free challenge? And I thought, okay, to start off, I'll just say I got the harp, and then I didn't research anything really about it at that point. So I didn't know any harpists. I didn't know anything. So I had no idea who Deborah was. I didn't know what this Baroque Flamenco challenge was, but it sounded like it was where all the cool kids were, and I wanted to go. So with 2 weeks of video practice under my belt, I took on the challenge. And she makes it really accessible. And I played it really with one finger on each hand, and I stuck it out for the 5 days. And then at the end, she was talking about joining her academy. And I thought, ooh, that seems really hard. So I asked the question, like, how fledgling of a player can you really be to succeed in your, and she asked, do you have music background? And I'm like, Not a lot." And so then she mentioned that perhaps like, I needed technique. And she connected me with Shelley Fairplay. And I joined Shelley's online school. And then which was starting a new term right then in April. And I was working with her. And then it's funny because then not everybody, but it was the cool thing. All the folks were saying in Shelley's class, "Hey, is anybody doing Heather's Christmas collab?" And I was like, "Who's Heather? And what's his Christmas collab?" And then that's when I connected with you. I did that first Christmas collab the first year I was playing. And and then I joined into the How to Harp as well. So yeah, it's been now I've done more. I know more people. I know different harp teachers and everything. But at the time, I was just really flying by the seat of my pants, and then listening to all the cool kids in the group.
Amazing. So it sounds like community has been a super important part of your journey. Can you talk a little bit about the people that you've met, the other harp learners that you've met, and how important that's been in your harp learning journey?
Yeah, I think it's really been amazing. I mean, I love the instrument. I love playing it. It brings you, joy when you're happy, some solace when you're feeling at your wit's end. But the people I've met have been amazing. And truly, I call several of them, I mean, many are friends, but even more, I call family. They're chosen family members now. And we do Zoom calls sometimes just for the heck of it. We've visited each other's home cross continents and cross oceans. And it's been really wonderful. We're leaving this week to visit family in the Western U.S. in Montana. And I'm going to meet up one evening in Calgary before we fly home with some other girls that play in the groups. So anytime that we get somewhere where there's someone who we know to get together, we make it happen. And so it's been really lovely. Great support, great friendships, wonderful to play in groups. I love playing in ensembles. I love going to the retreats where you can just play together, learn from each other, but just have that kinship that you have something so in common that's so meaningful. That just it's almost better than playing sometimes.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And, having got to know you well, so for those of you out there listening, I've stayed at Kim's, she's stayed with us, and we've spent a lot of time together, and I will just message you, we'll just message each other. So we've definitely become very good friends, I would say.
Yes.
But something that I think is really lovely in particular about your journey, Kim, is actually that you've made lots of great friends, but so has Dennis.
Yes. Yeah. My husband, Dennis, he has come along, and I mean, he's the best. He's very supportive, and he knows that this has become such a passion for me that he comes on trips with me. We did a really big one recently, and he has also become friends with the harpists and the harp. I will say mostly husbands, but there have been some other harp family members, non-harpist family members. And so he's really good. And, we build sometimes our vacations and things around my harp classes or around retreats or conferences or workshops or whatever. So he's listened to much more harp music than I think he's ever planned to. He knows now many of the harp performers from having seen them at workshops and things. So, it's been really nice.
Yeah, it's so lovely that you guys can do that together. And I feel like Dennis holds a really, William's over here, so I'm looking at him, but he holds a really soft spot in our heart, doesn't he?
Yeah, he makes a mean sausage as well.
He does make a mean sausage.
He does make some mean sausage. He's a good cook, yeah.
He really is, yeah. We love seeing Dennis. So that's really nice. So you mentioned that you started learning online. You joined Shelley's online school and probably her online ensemble as well.
Yes.
Yeah. And then you took part in the How to Harp Christmas Ensemble and you joined How to Harp. So all of this you're talking about, certainly at the start, is online. Has the majority of your learning been through online resources?
It truly has mostly been online, but I've tried to take advantage of any in-person events that I can do reasonably. So I've gone to the Somerset Folk Harp Festival in the States since I started learning how to play. Well, the first year I went online that first summer, and then I've been in person since. So every July I've gone to that. Shelley's had a few events, retreats in Wales that I've gone to. I went to your retreat. I've been to the Kamak Harp Weekend now twice. And then just this winter, we did our big trip where Shelley has also, beside the online ensemble, she has an in-person ensemble, folks who are located in and around Cardiff. And I just really wanted to play with them. And they play in 10-week terms. And so we moved over to Cardiff for 3 months, and I was able to play live with Shelley and the ensemble. And so there's ensemble teaching that goes on there too. And then all these workshops, like at the one in Stirling when Ben and Bill and you were there. And so learning from different instructors and doing some one-on-one lessons. So that's been my in-person experience, is mostly workshops, a few one-on-ones, and mostly online though.
Yeah. And can you speak into a little bit about, because I think there's probably a lot of people out there who, maybe don't have access easily to someone to learn from in person. As someone who's learned mainly online and has really used in person, I would say, to kind of highlight or grow that foundational learning that's happened online. Can you speak into how you feel you found success through online learning? And maybe also some of the things that you found difficult about online learning and how you've overcome that.
Yeah, so I think the good parts about the online learning is that I feel like in a one-to-one lesson, you go in and you learn something and the teacher tells you XYZ, go study this, go practice this. Started sometimes audio recording or video recording some of that to go back to look, because what otherwise might happen is that you spend the whole time until your next lesson not doing it correctly because you forgot exactly what they told you. Whereas online, you can watch the video over and over and over again until you figure it out. You can slow it down, you can speed it up, you can do whatever you want on there. I think also another benefit is that you can pick out things that you really need. It's like in the How to Harp membership, you can, like if I'm saying, I'm having trouble with harmonics, I can go and watch how you're doing harmonics and do that over and over, but maybe I don't know, there's something else in there that I don't need to watch. So I don't need to worry about doing that because I've got that down. It's more difficult to get the full picture. You can hear how the sound comes across, but it's not exactly the same as sitting in the room to know for sure if the tone is coming the way that you want. Sometimes even slowing down the video and watching, I'm still like, I can't tell where her fingers really are, what she's doing, and it makes it a little tricky. Getting a whole body perspective from even a power hour or something like that is harder because you have to move the camera all around and all of that. So that's been harder. And I think that those are the types of things that I look for in a one-to-one lesson. So when I've had those opportunities, or if there's a specific, really, really specific thing, like when we were at the retreat, I learned, Ben taught us a piece of something. And then when I had my one-on-one lesson, I'm like, okay, I didn't understand this part at all. Can you help me through that? So that was really lovely because I needed more time to really understand that than what I would have wanted to take or what that any teacher could have given in a group live Zoom session. Mm-hmm. So I think that that's been fairly successful in trying to match those up. I have been fairly fortunate to have gone and found people who've been able to help do that and to find workshops and places where I can do those one-on-one, or even in a workshop, sometimes in person, somebody comes around and is like, oh, move your hands here, move there. And just a small correction, which is lovely. So you can still get that one-on-one. It might be harder for people in areas where that's just really not going to work for them.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. It's really nice to be able to take advantage of these in-person things, right? So at the
Yeah.
in-person retreats, obviously it's clear that you like to take advantage of that one-on-one time, get the
Yeah.
eyes on your hands. But what else do you love? Because you've been to a lot of retreats. You've been to Wales, you've been to Shelley's, you've been to Camax, you've been to Somerset, you've been to How to Harp. What else do you get from these retreats?
Oh, there's so much. there's I like when there are different harpists there, instructors and tutors, because every time you learn something, a skill from someone else, they bring a little nuance to it. So I used the example of harmonics before, but if I ask 6 different tutors the way they do harmonics, I'll get several different answers, and I will land with something that really works for me. So I like being able to pull all that information together and say, oh, this person's idea worked for that, and this one I'm not going to do. That is very nice. So getting a differently rounded perspective, I guess. All the other participants are just really fun to meet and to hang out with, and also to get their ideas. Most of the retreats, not all of them, but most of the retreats and workshops have some opportunity to play with other people, ensembles, or even just some time to go and hang out and play with some of your buddies, which is always really fun, especially from Zoom classes, making friends from great distances. It's really nice to be able to sit down and play something with them beside you. The having the harps that are there from the different vendors, exhibit halls and things, really lovely to figure out how to plan your future potential purchases and to get sheet music and to meet harpists that I know more harpists that I've heard of. I've played their music and have maybe even taken an online workshop with them to get to meet them in person is always really lovely. So yeah, there's a lot. And then lots of times with retreats, bigger retreats, there are opportunities for outings and, meals together. And we had fancy Burns dinner. That was so lovely in Scotland. And, when I was in Wales, it wasn't so much because of the retreat, but because I was there for a prolonged period of time. I got to do St. David's Day concerts and celebrations. And so there's that aspect of just seeing the history, the local area, learning different cultural aspects of wherever the retreat might be, which is also really fun.
Of course, yeah, lovely. Just a big round kind of lovely bubble, right?
Yeah, it is. And it is like a bubble. That's what I said the other day about being in Wales for these 3 months, is that, but it wasn't real because I came back and I was kind of bummed that I was back to my regular routine. But I felt like if I were there all the time, it wouldn't have felt the same as just being there for this really special experience. It would have its pluses and minuses like everyday life does. So it's a fun little bubble for any kind of retreat or workshop or whatever that you get to just go and luxuriate in for a while.
Yeah, lovely. I do want to say, Kim, that it's not just you being exposed to things, is it? It's actually also you like grabbing opportunities with both hands, because you don't stand on the sidelines and watch. If there's something that you can get involved in, you will get involved in, right?
Well, yes. So, that's a really interesting because growing up, I have a lot of anxiety about a lot of things. And so growing up, I wanted to do a lot of things. So I loved musical theater. There's that music adjacent. And I would go to the audition and I would walk out before I auditioned because I was too afraid. And then I'd go do front of the house work. And every time that there was something in kind of a performance way, because at work, I had no anxiety in my job. I could do big presentations, didn't faze me at all. I wasn't anxious. But in my life in general, I have a lot of phobias and fear and anxiety. And so I always walked away. And when I started realizing that I really liked the harp, I made a promise to myself, I'm going to show up and I'm going to take this challenge by the horns. And so when there have been times when I'm coming to performance practice or something, and I'm like, oh no, I just can't. And then I'm like, yeah, you can. If you blow it up and it's a mess, it's okay. You'll survive it, And so it's gotten easier to do that. But I just felt like at this point in my life, I don't have that much time left to keep walking away from the opportunities. And so I'm in both feet. And yeah, so that was a conscious decision. And it's hard sometimes. It's really hard. But there's such benefit. It pays off so well in the end. Yeah.
That's amazing.
So
That's amazing. I think that is such good advice for anyone out there listening. Is like, and I'm assuming that in making that choice, yes, it's helped you grow in the harp, and it's helped you do all these things with the harp, but it's helped you just everywhere in general, right?
Well, I can't say that I'm going up any ladders anytime soon, but yes, I have more confidence in my ability to see things through, for sure. Yeah, when it's more like an artistic thing, more of a talent-based thing. Yeah, I think that also threw me for a loop. I mean, I knew I had it growing up, but then I went to college, or university here. I got a job. I was doing really well. I could go and give presentations. Didn't faze me. So I kind of thought that maybe I was over that, performance anxieties. And no, not at all. If it's something, even though I feel very confident in maybe what I'm presenting, and I think, oh, I know this, it still creeps up on me, the performance anxiety, to a point that I can see it's getting better. And I know a lot of people struggle with it, but it's still there more than I'd like it to be. But I think forcing myself through it is definitely helping.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So on the subject of grabbing opportunities with both hands, I feel like it's perfect to listen to our song right now. Now, for all of our listeners out there, Kim sent us 3 clips of beautiful music, and I allowed William to choose. I actually always allowed William to choose the clips because he always does a bit of editing on them and whatever, does his fancy sound stuff, right? Your wizard stuff. And so this is chosen by William, and it's probably the most out there clip that you sent, right? But it was,
yes, for sure.
It was definitely an example of you going for something that you maybe weren't sure of. So we're gonna share this, and then you can tell us all about what this clip is.
Okay. Yeah, it is.
What is it?
Well, you would have to be able to pronounce the name of the song because I can't.
Yeah. Is it
it's a Scottish?
Curses? Is it 1,000 Curses on Love?
No, it's like ho hum. No, it's not.
Oro huko huko.
Yeah, that's what it is. I just keep calling it that traditional Scottish tune. So that came about because I took the Harmony 3 class with you. And the first challenge was to take this very traditional Scottish tune and add some kind of contemporary component to it and arrange something. And so for the homework, I decided, I had gotten that DHC electric harp and had been a little bit afraid of the harness and everything, and had just come from a workshop with Deborah, who helped teach me and helped me learn how to get in and out of it correctly and wear that thing. And so I thought, well, that would be a really fun contemporary thing to throw these electronics and be in contact with the harp, the way that the women, this was a work song. And so the way that the women were in contact with the cloth that they were cleaning and doing all of that. And I've been experimenting with and trying to learn some looper pedals and effects pedals. And so I did my electric harp rendition and made an arrangement. And that was fine. And then for the final project in this course, we had to take one of the homeworks and incorporate some of the feedback that we had been given when we first presented it. And one of the things that you had said, Heather, was, oh, that would sound so cool with a distortion pedal in it. And so I went and got a distortion pedal because I didn't have one, and worked on adding that distortion in, which kind of was a good surprise to folks. It was very different than my original homework that I had turned in. And I won't say that that's the type of music that I normally play, but it is fun. And it's one of those things that I was like, oh, I want to dabble in some electrics and try the electric harp and try the looper and even in that homework, and I made a couple wrong notes in there, but my loops were pretty solid. So I was very excited about that. So yeah, so that's that song.
Yeah, your loops were absolutely awesome. And I think it's important to say to everybody, if you're watching this on YouTube and you're seeing the video of what Kim just presented, you saw her harp, but you had a distortion pedal and a loop pedal down there. So there was a lot to deal with that was out of the scene.
And one of the other things that you had mentioned adding in was some twinkly parts up high on the harp. And so in order to make it so that you could hear the twinkly parts and still hear the strums, I had to dual channel the looper. So I was in and out, closing one loop down, opening up the other loop, running both loops together, switching back and forth on the channel. So that was a really good workout for me in my brain for how to do it, and then just how to physically make it happen. So it was good.
Amazing. Such fun.
Yeah.
So we can see when we can see you again, those of you watching on video, if you're listening to this, behind Kim just now, she has an acoustic harp. But in that video, she was playing a blue DHC harp. Mm-hmm. And you also did mention an interest in pedal harp. So tell us about your harps that you have now and where things are going.
Yeah. So I have, this is a Lion and Healy Drake. It's a fully levered 34-string acoustic light tension harp. I have the DHC 32 with the harness and the stand. I have a Salvi Juno 25-string, which I've originally got to put in the car to travel easier than packing up this baby if I was going to mostly visit my in-laws. I have two little baby harps. I have a 15-string wearing cardboard soundbox harp and a 16-string Derwent. Neither of those have levers. And so I'm looking now at getting a pedal harp. I fell in love with doing the pedals. I just loved it. It was so much fun. I just need to go and look. It's quite still a drive to get to some place that has different types of harps side by side. And so we're going to plan out a weekend to go and take a look and try and figure out what really pulls at my heart. I had fabulous opportunity to play a lot of new Kamek at the Kamek weekends. I've played other harpists' Salvis, and a couple of Lion and Healy's just whenever somebody had one, and I'd be like, can I take a turn on your harp and try it out? So just to have to still see what feels good for my body and what pulls at my heart, I guess, the most, and then what fits into the budget.
Oh, yeah. I like that you mentioned that one last.
That's the last. Everybody's like, are you saving up for your harp? And I'm like, yeah, it's such a vague concept. We'll see what happens and see which harp comes, and we'll make it work somehow. Again, very supportive, understanding husband, which is very
we're very
sweet.
lucky. Yeah, the pedal harp that I have behind me are still paying off and will be paying off for a long time. So that's because of my very understanding husband.
Yeah. Well, and Dennis is gone back to playing piano and is relearning piano. And so he's been looking, we have a very, very old piano. He's been looking at pianos and I'm like, get whichever one you want, dear. Whichever one.
Very smart. Very smart. Okay, so it's so clear that you, in the last 5 years, you've had such a lovely kind of varied learning harp journey. I have to say, you stumbled across some really excellent online teachers. I think you're very lucky to have, you know, the foundations that you had, which is really, really great. And then taking all these opportunities and maybe the pedal harp, who knows? But what else is next other than the pedal harp? Like, what's your ambitions for the harp? Where is your harp journey going now?
So I see a place that I'd like to play. If I could play in an ensemble, I would like to do that. I wouldn't mind playing out a little bit more, like doing background gigs. I'm still a little anxious about solo out there being the main person gig. I did play recently, I think because I had posted some pictures from when I was in Wales. One of my former colleagues wrote and asked if I would play at our hospital's rehab unit for the patients there. And I kind of thought it was going to be, it was in the lunchroom while they were eating and things, but oh no, it was like they were all sitting there watching me like a concert. And it went fine, but it totally threw me a little bit more than I was ready for, but it was fine. But stuff like that, I think I can do. I'm building up courage to go to in town, there's a local coffee joint that has an open mic night that I'm going to try and go to. They're taking the summer off, so it'll be in the early fall, perhaps. So I have time to, pull myself up and get ready and play one song, and it'll be good. So, but as that becomes more and more comfortable, I could do other things. But I like being with other people. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe there'll be other opportunities that open up here for ensemble, or I've been told I should start one here if there isn't one. So we'll see. Maybe down the road a ways that could happen.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. I know a few other harpists who live in Vermont. I reckon if you started something, you build it, they will come.
I know, the thing is I know a few harpists who live here as well, but I have to get in the mental state. Several of them are really, like professional players. That's not me. And then there are some who are in the lane of only wanting to play one type of music. That's not me. So yeah, I have to figure that out, but I'm not in a hurry to do that. I think step by step, 3 years ago, I wouldn't have said I'm going to play out at the rehab unit, or I wouldn't have played at the retreat when we were in the storm and had no entertainment or something. Like, on the fly, let's play. And I feel okay about doing those things now, So maybe in another couple of years, I'll feel better about taking on a little bit more. I'm working toward it. I'm trying to learn all the things I need to learn to do that. For when I'm ready. Yeah.
Perfect. That's great.
Yeah.
All in its own time, right?
Exactly.
So you are, Kim, a very valued member of the How to Harp membership, of course, and a very, very good friend. Can you tell us what your favourite part of the How to Harp membership is?
Yeah, it's funny. I was thinking about this because I've heard you ask this question of other people before, and it's so hard to pinpoint a favorite part because I have parts that are really important and valuable for different reasons. I think where I land the most in the membership are the practice together times, the sessions that work on my time, the schedule. And when I can, I have a commitment conflict for a lot of the Sundays, but when I don't and I can go to the Sundays, I really love the power hours and I love all the Sunday things, but the power hours, going to those live if I can, is really important. I love all the concerts and the workshops, and I try and watch those if I can after the fact, because those are still lovely afterwards. The practice performing when I can go, if I don't have a conflict, I've really enjoyed going to those, and I feel like that's gotten better for me, a little easier to play. So those are the live things that I really, really enjoy. And then, like I said, the tune bank, the technique bank, all of those options are there. And I love being able to go in and find what I need and grab it at the time that is going to work the best for me. The pathways are fabulous too. I'm not able to get to a lot of those live, but I've worked through several of the pathways. I feel like I have become closest with the people who are in the same practice together sessions or in the performing practice sessions. I'm not as good at keeping up on the texting chats and things like that. It's just not the way my brain works so much. I do better if I can get live. So, but those connections have been fabulous. Just the people which we talked about before, fabulous. So I think many different things for many different reasons. And I love that, like in the power hours, how willing and gracious you are, willing to spend the time, and how gracious you are about your time to really make sure that when somebody has a question, it gets answered. It may mean that you have to explain it in a different way.
Sometimes I don't understand.
Well, yeah, but sometimes they don't understand the way that you're telling them, and because they don't learn that way, right? So you're able to do it, and I think that speaks to your teaching experience. I remember one time you were asking, is it important for people to have your teacher perform or not? And I was like, yeah, it's fun to have a teacher who can perform, but I want a teacher who can teach. That's the most important thing to me. I can watch anybody perform. But I need to learn from somebody who knows how to teach. And I really appreciate that. That's lovely. And I think I have found, and like you said, I feel very fortunate to have exposure to very lovely teachers and very good teachers. And what I found from many of the teachers I've worked with more closely, or even the ones at the workshops, is that they're also respectful of who else you've learned from. Because I remember asking you a question once and you're like, well, you may have been taught something else. And I'm like, yep, but that's okay. Because most of all of you say, hear what everybody has to say and then figure out what works for you. So I really respect that and appreciate that.
Yeah. Lovely. Okay. This is the last question.
Okay.
It may be the hardest. Do you know what's coming?
Yeah, I do. I'm ready.
Okay. Oh, good. She's right. She's prepared. So, as you know, most of our listeners are adult learners. You've got a great background in adult learning. You've been at it 5 years. You've grabbed everything.
Yep.
I want to say something that's inappropriate. I want to say you've grabbed everything by the balls. I'm just going to say it.
Go for it. It's good.
It's done. I did it now. What would the one piece of advice be that you'd give to people out there listening?
Yeah. So I think that what I see a lot from other people learning is that comparing themselves. Now, I've done it and it drew me in the beginning, right? Because I was like, well, wait, I want to do what everybody over there is doing. And that's how I did that Baroque Flamenco challenge the first 2 weeks that I've been playing. Maybe if I had known differently, I might not have done that. That would have been sad. So there is some of that you need to do. But in classes, I find that oftentimes people feel like they need to keep up with what everybody else is doing. Doesn't matter that people have been playing different amounts of time. They come with different backgrounds, different musical backgrounds, different life situations. And they try to throw everything in. And while there's something to be said about trying everything so that you can really find where you want to land, I think it doesn't help you figure out who you really are. So I think where I've kind of been landing is, I was in a workshop once where they said, well, we want to see, Kimberly the harpist. And I was like, I don't know who that is yet. And so I feel like playing things and doing things that really suit who I am as a person is helping to inform who I am as a harpist. And I have to let go of all that other noise of trying to, just because everybody else is playing this, to play this, or just because it's, oh, somebody did something with looper pedal, now I have to do something with a looper pedal, but maybe that's not your thing. And so I think if you can find the parts of it that you really love, just work on that, and that's going to make you happier, and it's going to come out better in your music, and you'll be able to kind of harness all that passion. Doesn't mean don't dabble, but don't feel like you need to keep up and have everything. And I'm really, truly just in the last, I don't know, year, 6 months, settling into that. But I think it's making a big difference. So, this is why I went and spent 3 months, because I felt like that's what's calling to me. That's what I need to do. And if it means I don't do X, Y, Z because of that, that's okay. Yeah. So I think that would be it. Grab what's your passion and hang on tight.
Perfect. That was amazing. What a perfect place to leave it. Please send our love to Dennis.
I will for sure.
And of course, we're sending our love to you as well, Kim.
And right back at you.
Thank you so much.
Definitely love the friendship and partnership with you. It's lovely. Thank you. Both of you, William.
Thank you so much to Kim for joining me today. It's always such a joy to spend time with her, and I know so many people out there are going to relate to her story and feel inspired by the way she has thrown herself wholeheartedly into harping over the last few years. Next week on the podcast, it'll just be me for a solo episode where I'll be sharing a harp tip with you all. So make sure you come back and join me for that. And as always, if you've enjoyed this episode, please do like, subscribe, follow and share. Leave us a comment. It really does make a difference. And I honestly love reading those comments. So hopefully I'll see you all next week.